hey man, I'm gonna get smoked, I'm gonna smoke and get, you know, effed up, man, you know what I mean? I'm gonna just get high and boom, boom, boom. That's not what Rastafari is about. It's about, and it might sound strange, but smoking responsibly, whereas you're still in control of your faculties, and it's about raising your consciousness, because I put it to you, everybody has their threshold. So if you smoke till you get effed up, you've smoked too much, all right? And it's not about that. Why do you want to get effed up out of your head, you know what I'm saying? Why not just become more awareness? If you smoke, I put it to you, if you smoke just enough, your awareness level actually goes up, but then you go over a crest. And when you pass that hill, then everything becomes a blur, you know, you're in a daze, you know, and you're about ready to black out. Why do you want to do that to yourself, you know? So, you know, Rastafari, some Rastafari advocating, and our voice is not being heard, is responsible use of the herb. Know how to use it intelligently. Anything in excess is bad for you. Even drinking too much water is bad for you, right? Everything in moderation. What happened with that? You know, and this is what's missing out here, because I don't understand that, and some of my African American brothers would have to relate to me. Why do you want to smoke to get effed up? You know, what about raising your consciousness, raising your awareness, raising your critical thinking, opening what Rastafari say, the far eye, or the third eye? You know, because I put it to you, you can actually raise your awareness if you smoke just enough to do it. But everyone has a different threshold, right? And you shouldn't abuse it. And Rastafari made the argument, it's a natural substance. It's not made in a laboratory. It's not refined and modified or whatever. So, you know, for Rastafari, we see it separately from cocaine. We don't want to combine it. You know, in America, there's a thing, if you smoke herb and you take cocaine, it's all the same thing. No, there's a difference. In Rastafari, this is a sacred thing that was put here by the Creator for the proper, intelligent, and responsible use by mankind. And I think if we adopt that mentality, then we'll have, you know, a better environment. And there'll be less fear. And I put it to you that some societies must be using it relatively responsibly, because look at Holland. In Amsterdam, it's certainly been decriminalized for a long time, and they haven't gone into a state of chaos. Because some people say, man, if you free up the herb, you know, the society is just going to spiral into a sense of decay and chaos and everything. Holland seems to be functioning very well and so forth. And, well, let's keep our eye on Colorado and Washington State. Let's see what happens if they suddenly decay into a sense of, you know, absolute insanity and chaos. You know, people have these irrational fears, I think. But if there's responsible use, I mean, I'll put it to you this way, just the same with alcohol. We know people abuse alcohol, right? You drink too much, you lose control, right? The same as a responsible use of alcohol, responsible use of the herb. And to be honest with you, I've always asked the question, why is the herb, why has that been made illegal and alcohol and cigarettes are legal? You know, because those are certainly drugs, especially alcohol. And the other thing, alcohol, yeah, people get violent from alcohol. I don't know anybody who smoked a lot of herb and got really violent. In fact, I would say it does the opposite thing, you know. Maybe it could actually dissipate violence. It could make our societies less violent. You know, people thought about that. There may be benefits that way. So we got to be more open-minded in the way we look at herb and marijuana. And we got to ask critical questions. Why is it illegal and alcohol is legal? You know? And I think Colorado and Washington State will be interesting models to look at, you know, to see if these societies really do degenerate into states of chaos and so forth. You know? Okay, one of the issues, and I know something I didn't touch on at all in the book, was the issue of the theology. Well, I did touch on it to a certain extent. But I mean, if I can ask, how many people here believe that the divinity, the divine essence of the Creator, however you consider Him, lies within us? Does anybody have that? Do you think that as human beings, there's something special about us? Because that's what Rastafari preached, that in each and every person there's a divine essence. There's something that makes us more than just an animal running on instincts, right? There's something godly about us. And if we tap into that, we become godlike, you know. There's something inherent. When you tap into that, there's a consciousness. You know the difference between right and wrong. Inherently, we know what's right and we know what's wrong. And sometimes, in a lot of cases, it's harder to do what's right than to do what's wrong. But when you do something that's right against all the odds, you know, there's that feeling. You're getting in touch with that divine essence to say, this is the right thing to do, you know. We talk about the common humanity. I talk about that common godliness. So for Rastafari, we say I and I. The large I and the small I. The large I being the divine essence and the small I being the physical self. But there's some cases where we have to control the urges of our physical self, you know. Sometimes they need controlling. And the more we realize that godliness inside of us, the more we lead a righteous life, is the more that we actually adhere to what most religions are supposed to preach, ultimately, which is leading a righteous lifestyle. So, you know, Rastafari is not about this one following this denomination and that one's doing this and doing that. Is that, are we leading a righteous life? Whatever religion or faith one follows. And we lose sight of that, I think, in a lot of cases. We use the different religions to separate and divide us. They even lead to wars, which is so sad, right? It's about making us better human beings, you know, because I think that the Creator did make us in His own image, but we just have to tap into that godliness, that God force which lies within us, and realize our true potential. And we can accomplish whatever we want. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't feel jealous and envious of other people, because we all have our own special gifts. Unfortunately, some of us don't get the chance to realize our gifts, our special gifts given to us by the Creator. But if we do, then we're truly blessed. But if we can recognize that divinity within each and every one of us and come together as a true brotherhood or sisterhood, we'll be such a better planet. Because we live in such strife. The divisions between us are really artificial. They're man-made, you know, and I think somebody benefits from these divisions. So sometimes we have to be, you know, critical. You know, the prejudices, the discriminations, they're just, you know, artificial. Right? We have a common humanity, all right? And I truly believe that, you know, we have that divine essence that makes us that bit more than just an animal, you know, because unfortunately some of us are just living like animals. And I think that's the saddest thing. We don't get to really actualize our full divinity, you know. So for Rastafari, man is God, and I guess the same holds for woman. Woman is God and God is man. The two are mutually compatible, all right? So that's something to think about theologically. And I don't think the Christian church preaches that enough. I can't say anything for Islam or for Judaism, as I was brought up formally as a Christian, so I can speak from that experience. And we always told to look for God in the sky, somewhere above, and not look for God within, you know. And Rastafari teaches that God ultimately lies within us, each and every one of us, all right? But the other thing is that in the U.S., the irony, there's another irony of ironies, and that is that this is a country that's truly a multicultural nation, and I think that it offers us an opportunity to see if we can really, you know, come together in some kind of unity. It's not easy, but this country was built on multiculturalism. And that's one of its strengths, but probably not fully realized, because there's also this division which comes about as a result of difference. And it shouldn't be a division. there shouldn't be a majority and minority groups. We should just be, you know, one group, speaking idealistically and so forth. But, you know, this could truly be a society with unmitigated, you know, unquestionable, you know, possibilities if we could overcome some of these divisions that exist, you know.
But it's man who put division.
It's man, because somebody benefits, divide and rule. If you have the groups, many groups fighting amongst each other, then there's more, for me, there's more of the pie that I can have for myself. Because while you are preoccupied with internal divisions and internal fighting, infighting or outfighting, however you want to look at it, somebody's benefiting from that. So, you know, with war is concerned, I truly believe that it's man that does make war, right? Wars don't and people profit from them, unfortunately, you know. Weapons are sold, you know, weapons are continuously manufactured. If there wasn't any war, there wouldn't be any need for all these weapons that we have, right? So you can look at it that way. It's somewhat cynical, but, you know, but that's another thing, you know. Why are we living in such fear of warfare and so forth, you know? The plight of planetary extinction, you know, that hangs over our head, you know. And you know, Peter Tosh said no nuclear war. That was his last album, and I'm hoping there'll be no nuclear war, but it's a very real possibility. Let me tell you something. Nobody on this planet will benefit from a nuclear war, no matter what people say. Oh, casualties will be minimum or whatever, you know. Planet will be ruined by radioactivity, right? A life will not be worth living. A quality of life will be diminished, you know. We've already had 2 nuclear power burnouts, you know. Chernobyl, I remember Chernobyl. There was a radiation cloud. This is 86, a Russian nuclear plant, you know, burnt out, releasing radioactive material in the atmosphere, blew all over the planet. You know, that increased the radiation levels multiple times, you know, and we have a limited threshold to radiation as human beings. So even the nuclear power plants we have, you know, how safe are they? I mean, they really have to adhere to safety standards, because no matter what people say, nuclear power is not 100% safe, you know. It's not 100% safe. And nuclear war is a real threat that all of us need to be worried about, because we all become casualties if there's a nuclear war. So that was an important and a prophetic album Peter Tosh put out in 1987, No Nuclear War.